Hey everybody, Backpack Hack here, coming at you with another trail tip, and today's subject is fluid-filled compasses. Fluid-filled compasses are pretty common today, especially if you're just an outdoor person that has a compass like one of these here. But a lot of people don't realize that they're a relatively recent invention. Compasses go back hundreds of years, whereas the fluid-filled compass is hardly even 75 years old. The concept of a fluid-filled compass is simple. It dampens the movement of the needle in two ways. With an air-filled or dry compass, one that doesn't have a fluid in it, the needle will sit there and go back and forth, and it will slowly zero in on magnetic north. That's time-consuming. The other problem is if you're trying to take a bearing, and none of us are rock solid. We're not made of concrete. We breathe, our heart beats. We can't hold our hand perfectly still, let alone still enough if the wind is blowing. So if we're trying to take a reading with a dry compass, the needle is going to sit there and shake, and it's going to give us an inaccurate or unsure reading. We're not sure really where magnetic north is. Fluid-filled compasses solve that problem by dampening that. Today, when you move a compass to take a reading, that needle just slowly comes up and is pointing magnetic north. And as you hold it, it's very, very steady. That's the advantage to a fluid-filled compass. However, in the early years of fluid-filled compasses, manufacturers started to hear from users of these fluid-filled compasses, and they loved the idea of a nice steady needle. However, they began to realize that after several years, they were getting inaccurate readings. And that's because the degradation of the fluid that is in these compasses. Now, there's a lot of people who knew that this was an issue, and they would simply buy a new compass every few years just to avoid the issue. However, all the interested parties, the manufacturers, government agencies, all these places that did things like cartography and map making and surveying and engineering, things like this, they all got together and came up with the International Society of Geographical Engineers. And in 1962, they got the manufacturers to change the way they designed their compasses. Now, they didn't improve the fluid because at the time there was no better fluid than what they were using. And really, I don't know what it's made of. Obviously, it's not a water-based product because water would simply freeze and crack. So it's probably a petroleum-based product. The problem is over time it degrades. You start getting a needle that doesn't point magnetic north. It gets close. And the older the fluid gets, the more viscous it's become. And then eventually the impact of the magnetic field on the needle isn't strong enough to move the needle to where it points to magnetic north. There's not enough force in that needle trying to move to overcome the viscosity, increased viscosity of the old fluid. And if you let a compass set long enough, it will eventually just hold that needle in place. It doesn't matter what you do. It won't move. So the manufacturer started to make compasses, fluid-filled compasses, in 1962, I think it was, that you could change the fluid in this. Now, geographers and cartographers and surveyors, they all know this. And they do this on a regular basis. But people like you and us who are just out for enjoyment of the outback, and we just go out on a backpack trip and use our compass to find our way around. A lot of people don't know that they need to change the fluid in their compass. So that's what this video is going to be about. If you've never done this before, there is hope. There are kits out there available, and you can buy these either online on Amazon or eBay, or you can go into the stores. Now, places like Walmart and Target, those stores won't have something like this. But if you go into your sporting goods stores, ones that are designed, those that are built around those of us who enjoy the outdoors, that they sell backpacks and kayaks and things like that, they're going to have these kits. And they contain everything you need to change the fluid in your compass. So I'm going to bring the camera in here and I'm going to show you what you need to do to change the fluid in your compass. I'm going to give you two pieces of advice before we even start. Even though I said these are complete, there are a couple things that you'll need to supply to make it a lot nicer. Some sort of small container, which is nice, and I'll get to why that is later on, as well as a towel. We are talking about fluids and you want to contain a spill. You don't want to do this on your good dining room table and ruin it because, like I said, I don't know what this fluid is, but you could stain or take the finish off of woodworking or something like this. So if you're not doing this at a workbench and you're doing it at a dining room table like I am, I'm going to suggest you use a towel. So the only thing you need is a small container. I'm just using this Gatorade lid. You can use a glass or a cup or even a shallow dish or something out of the kitchen. And get that and a towel. Let's get the camera in here and I'll show you how to do this. Okay, I forgot to mention, you're going to need a small container like this. I'm just going to use this old strawberry container, margarine container. You can use whatever you want. It's going to be disposed of. But I'm going to start with this inexpensive one first to get started. And the first thing I'm going to do, let me get all this out of the way. And I'm going to put a towel down here because, like I say, you're working with a fluid. And you don't want to make a mess and ruin the table or something like this, unless you're working on a workbench, and then it doesn't matter. So here we have our compass and our container for the extra fluid. And here is the kit. Like I say, it has both the flush and the fill liquids on it. So let's go ahead and open this up. And I'll show you what you're going to get in here. You have a refill fluid. This is the second fluid that you're going to use. And then you have the actual flush fluid, and this is what you use to clean it out first. You've got instructions, but we won't need those because I'm showing you how to do this. You also have a small Allen wrench. I have no idea what size this is because this has been standardized internationally. I don't know whether it's metric or SAE. But it doesn't matter. Once you buy one, you have one. And then you have this small surgical type syringe. And that's used to extract the existing fluid out and then inject these new fluids. Now, a lot of people have never noticed that on the back, there is a very, very small Allen wrench or set screw here. Allen wrench. This is the Allen wrench. This is a set screw. And they're, like I say, they've been standardized since 1962 to take a certain size of Allen wrench. And like I say, I don't know whether this is metric or SAE. Doesn't really matter. They're all the same size. So what I'm going to do first off is I'm going to take this and I'm going to crack this open and I'm going to open up my compass. And that's what the purpose of this little container is for, is to put that in so I don't lose it. So I'm going to set that aside. Once I get it open, I'm going to tip the compass at an angle so all the liquid will come down here. And I'm going to insert this syringe and I'm going to pull the fluid out. Just like that, until I get plenty of bubbles coming up. And now I'm going to just discard that fluid into here. And I'm going to cycle that several times. I'm going to see if I can't get a little bit more out of there. You don't have to get it completely out, but the more you can get out, the better off you'll be. Whoops, I'm going to drop that. Okay, looks like I've gotten out just about all that I'm going to get out of there. Now, like I say, there are two fluids here. There is the refill fluid. We don't need this right now. What we want is the flush fluid. This is what's going to clean this out. So I'm going to open that up. And again, this is why I'm working on a table or a towel. I'm going to simply dip the end in here and fill this syringe up with the flush fluid, and I'm going to just insert that and then I'm going to pull it back out just like I did with the regular fluid. And it's just like bleeding brakes in your car. Just put a little bit of fluid in there and swish it around. And then, again, just like you did originally, pull that fluid back out. I don't think I'm going to get any more of it out of there. So I'm going to take one more. Take some of this fluid and put in there. And this is going to really clean it out. Spill it all over the place, why don't I? Now I'm just going to put it in there and really get it good and cleaned out. You got some air on the back, so I'm just going to let it dribble into there. Now I'm going to pull it out for the last time. And this is where I'm going to want to be as clean as I can get it. Get as much of that fluid out as I can. Just let it bubble out. And I think I've got out as much as I'm going to get. I probably have enough left in there to do the at least one of the others. I'm going to put that away, and I'm going to get out the refill fluid. And this is the fluid that's going to go back in to replace the old fluid that was in there. Again, I'm being careful about what I'm doing here because I don't want to spill this. Now I'm going to get some fluid. And now it's going to start to get tricky because I want to do this without leaving an air bubble. And so I'm going to fill it up rather slowly. I'm actually going to tip it the other direction. So the air fills up around this hole. And I'm going to just carefully keep filling it up until it's full. I don't know whether I got it in there. Well, there's a huge bubble still in there, so I'm going to try to get that out of there. That's the hardest thing to do, is to get this done without a big bubble. Sometimes you have to just pull it out, put it back in. And hope that you don't leave a big bubble inside. There's still one in there. That's, like I say, that's the hardest part, is to get this done without leaving a big bubble in there. So hopefully I'll be able to get this done. Come on. And do it without the needle being in the way. I'm going to need some more fluid. I got a little sloppy there. But if you keep working at this, you'll eventually get it done without a bubble in there. I'd say I got it done. I don't see a bubble. So now we're going to take our little set screw here and reinstall it. And if you're wondering about why this is metal, that's because it's aluminum. It's a very, very pure aluminum, so it doesn't have any ferrous properties. So it doesn't affect the needle any. However, this is steel, so you can see that it is affecting the needle. But this set screw is not. It's aluminum, so it doesn't affect the needle. You can see that the needle is moving. However, here you can see that this is affecting it, but not the set screw. So anyway, that's how you change it. Any leftover fluid I can use on the next one. And that's how you change your compass fluid. Just like that. Okay, that's how you change the fluid in your fluid-filled compass. This one's ready to go. I probably have enough fluid left over to do one of these others. If you have multiple compasses like I do, you can buy separate fluid. A lot of places that sell the kit will sell separate fluids. If not, just buy another kit. They aren't that much more than the fluids themselves. But if you can save a few money by not having to buy another syringe, the whole kit with the syringe and the instructions and the Allen wrench, to store this for next time, just let it air dry. It will eventually dry out. If you have leftover fluid, don't try to save it. thinking, well, you know, in 5 years I'll do this again, because it will deteriorate just as fast in this container as it will in your compass. So it doesn't matter whether you have any left over. If you've only got one compass to do and you've got leftover fluid, just go ahead and throw it out. If you've got more fluid, maybe you want to look at getting another compass and then doing them together. Just have a backup. This is my main one. This is the one I have in my bug out bag, and this is my backup compass. I do have an old compass from the 70s, but it's not fluid filled, so I don't have to worry about it. The fluid that you have left over, just go ahead and rinse it down the drain, toss your packaging away. If you want to keep the instructions, you can, but now that you know how to do this, you can see how relatively easy it is, just a little time consuming and can be a little bit messy, as well as sometimes difficult to get that last little bubble out of the compass. But once you do it a few times, it gets pretty easy. Again, like I say, you can do this at home instead of having to send it back to the manufacturer and waiting 2 to 3 weeks to get it done. And sometimes the wait is up to 6 to 8 weeks, especially in the wintertime when a lot of people aren't using their compasses because it's wintertime and they don't go out hiking or camping. So this way you can do it in-house, save a little bit of money, not have to worry about shipping your compass, having it get broken or lost in the postage, and have your compass available to you at all times. So now that I've shown you how to change the fluid in your compass, check for one of these kits in the store sometime. And like I say, you can keep the syringe and the Allen wrench as long as you want. Just buy the fluids next time. Probably, if you're like me, you won't know where you put these and you're going to have to buy a whole new kit anyway. But that's how you change the fluid in your compass. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment, and share on my videos. This is Backpack Hack coming at you with this trail tip. Be safe out there, and I'll see you out on the trail.